Hi, I'm Emmy Catronio. Just a few quick notes before I begin. I designed this organizational lesson with a specific classroom in mind at the school where I worked with, where I currently work with some of the students who I have worked with. The classroom model is relatively regular throughout the school, so these are skills that students would take with them. That being said, some of the vocabulary and how we refer to things, it gets a little confusing because it seems like they have two separate cubbies, and in fact they do if you're going to define them both as cubbies, but we have different words for the two areas, and one is just for books and stuff and the other is already for the pencils and stuff. But students could use this lesson because they haven't really used it like that or been directly taught to use it like that. It was more so a mention. So there's that. And there are also some things about the culture of the school just in general. So if something seems unusual or you're not quite understanding something, I don't really other than this, I prefer not to stop and take time very frequently to explain the things that are as the culture of the school, but the students would understand it. And the other thing, I'm using the free version of Screencast-O-Matic, so I'll probably have to do this in 2 different videos because I have a 15-minute limit and I have already used 2 of those minutes. So that being said, without further ado, I will begin my lesson. Good morning, 4th grade. This morning we're going to continue talking about organization and how we can make our classroom and our school community a better, more organized place for us to learn and work together. As usual, our expectations for today, I expect you guys to all be listening and participating to the best of your abilities, which means following instructions. When I tell you what we're doing, to go ahead and do that. Notice your neighbor and help your neighbor respectfully. Raise your hand if you have something you want to say. I'm always so interested in hearing what you have to say. I think your feedback is great, your ideas are great, but you need to raise your hand, and we need to be respectful of each other in that way. And as you can probably tell, our topic for today, we are going to be discussing organizing our cubbies and our lockers. So we're doing 2 things at once today. But we're going to start with talking about what we did yesterday, or at our last lesson. So let's look back and let's see if you guys can answer some questions for me. What are the steps you take when you're using your calendar to record important dates or assignments? So, for instance, if we are in science and I say, take out your notebooks, you have an assignment coming up, what are the steps you take and what do we call those steps? And of course, I would call on students at this time and hopefully get the answers from them. But, oops. So, our steps are listen, locate, and log. And that's called the calendar strategy. So, you hear my cue, and you get out your notebook, and you open the calendar page, and then you listen. You listen to what I'm saying. What am I telling you to do? What is due? And when is it due? Then you locate. We are in science class. It is Monday, so you locate that box, and I tell you what the assignment is, and you log. You will write down what our assignment is. And again, we call that the calendar strategy. And where do we keep your calendar? I kind of gave this away a little bit while we were talking about this, but who can tell me where we keep our calendar? And again, the students would probably tell me that it's in their notebook, and I would, if that's what they tell me, then I would want to probe where exactly is it in your notebook. How do we know it's there? Well, it's behind the calendar tab, and it's near the front of the notebook, so we can find it easily. Why do we use calendars to write down events and assignments? And again, here I would get students' ideas, so and probe to get closer to what we've got here, and maybe I'd even find some new takes on it from what I have here. So it helps us to remember important things. It helps us to make important decisions regarding how we use our time, and helps us to know what's going on, things like that. Those are the kind of answers I'm expecting from students. So now we are going to move on to organizing cubbies. Why is it important to have an organized cubby? And I would hope in calling on students that they can tell me. You can find materials more easily and quickly. Your materials don't get damaged. It's really important that we keep our class materials in good shape. And especially the things we're going to turn in, because if a paper gets all crumpled up and torn up and you can't even really see the work that you did, that's a really big bummer, because you spent all this time on this work, and then you might lose points if the teacher can't read it. And it makes our classroom a cleaner place to be and a nicer place to be. I mean, I know for me personally, I have to keep my area clean where I'm doing my work, because if I see a lot of clutter, I can't really even think. So when our classroom is cleaner, it helps everybody to think better and to do our work better and to be able to stay focused. So, how do we organize our cubby? Well, I am going to hand out instructions for everyone. And I will pause this to show where our instructions are. And this is the instruction list that I'm going to be giving to students. Oops. And it's the same thing that it shows on the PowerPoint. So actually, this is kind of my cue card. Rather than using the cue cards from the lesson, especially because I needed to personalize them or make them more appropriate for the setting where what I'm thinking about, this is kind of serving as my cue card right here. So I will have a cubby ready and available. Oops, why is this not? I'll have a cubby ready and available to take everything out of, and it's going to be an unoccupied cubby, but I'm going to prepare it before class with some stuff to organize. And I have a stack of stuff right here, and I will go through and I will go through the process of how I would organize. So, first things first, I'm going to take out everything from my cubby and I'm going to put it on my desk. Then I'm going to sort through everything and throw away any trash that I have. So, throw that away. All right, well, now I am free of trash. Oops, there's one piece hiding in there. Okay, now it's all clean, free of trash. Now I have my notebook, so I know how to use my notebook, and I'm going to look through these loose papers that I find, and I am going to file my loose papers into my notebook. So, let's see here. something from math class. I'll file that under math. All right. I think that I have done a good job of filing everything into my notebook. Now I will put my pens and my pencils and my other small items. Sorry, I gotta bend down because I dropped something. I have a ruler, I have a Sharpie, and I'm going to put all of these things into my box here. Now, our boxes that we have in the classrooms are those about yay big, yay wide and so high, plastic boxes that just fit perfectly in a cubby, and that's where we are going to put all of our small loose materials. And maybe, you know, if you have some note cards that you're using for class, that would go in there. That would be a good place for it, because note cards really easily turn into loose papers in the desk. Okay, now I'm ready to sort through really well, and I'm going to pull out all of my books, and I'm going to make a pile with my books. Now, I only have 2 textbooks here, but here are my textbooks, and I'm going to make a textbook pile. If I have a reading book, we should all have 2 reading books. We should have a German independent reading book that we'll read in all of our classes except for English, and we'll have an English independent reading book which we will read during independent reading time in English. And now I'm going to put all of my folders, my journals, so my German journal and my English journal. Oh, here's another, I missed another small thing that I have to put in my small things box. Anyway, here are my folders, my journals, and, just my folders and my journals. I'm going to put that into a pile. But you know what? I'm gonna spoil something for you. What I was going to say, and my notebook, because that is also going to come into play there. But now I'm going to take all of my books, my textbooks, and my reading books, and I am going to put those on the left side of my cubby. And this is my left. I know it's your right, but it's my left. And then I am going to take all of my folders, my journals, and my notebook, and I'm going to do the same thing on the right side of my cubby. And I'm going to put my box on the shelf that is below my cubby for my books. So I would like all of you to work with your partners to organize your cubbies, and here's how you're going to do this. First, partner number 1 is going to do the organizing, and partner number 2 is going to help out and check and make sure all of the steps are followed, and help out partner number 1 in a respectful manner if partner number 1 forgets something or has any questions. And this isn't really a quiz. Partner number 1 doesn't have to remember everything I'm saying and do it without looking or anything, but partner 2 can help out if partner 1 forgets anything anyway. And before you go, you guys have your checklist, so or not your checklist, you have your directions, so I feel confident that you can do that part. But here is the layout that we have of our cubbies, and this is going to be posted in the classroom, in the back of the classroom where your cubbies are, in case you guys need just a quick be able to look at it. You can see when you look on this that you have a spot for your books, which is, again, your textbooks and your reading books. You have a spot for your journals and folders